Nice background, George.
Oh, you like that?
Okay, guys, like I said, we're recording this, so anybody that joins after this will be able to catch up. This is the Cannafrica Training Academy. This is the Standard Operating Procedures Session 2. These are standard operating procedures are what keeps our business tight, and so you know, it's crucial that this is something that we follow. I'm not going to go through this list. I believe it'll just waste unnecessary time. But we'll start with section 1. So greetings, everybody. Thank you for your time. This session will run until 16:15. So Cannafrica Training Academy session 2, standard operating procedures. And so this is an SOP manual and guideline. The preface for the manual of this manual serves to familiarize the user with all aspects of the franchise operations manual. This operation manual covers key components of your franchise in relevant segments and offers helpful advice and generalizations for success in the marketplace. It is the hope of Cannafrica HQ that you will internalize the information and incorporate them into your operations for a greater degree of success with your franchise. The purpose of this manual is to serve as a guide for franchisees to get accustomed to the proprietary franchise operations of Cannafrica. Attributing to the living nature of the SOP manual and guidelines. And so from time to time, Cannafrica may find the need to update and or change the Cannafrica franchisee operations manual. Any respective updates will be delivered to franchisees in a timely manner. This current edition covers the 21 and 22 calendar year. Just to let you know that we are making slight amendments and we'll send them through in due course. It still won't necessarily supersede what it is that I'm going to cover with you today. We have a manual disclaimer. The Cannafrica Franchise Operations Manual is set forth as a model of proprietary business operations in the cannabis industry and is not wholly responsible for the success of a particular franchise operation. Sections are subject to change as the franchise develops and grows. As changes occur, Cannafrica HQ will send instructions to update and maintain this manual and any other associated material, news, or information necessary to improve your franchise. Obviously, there's going to be a non-disclosure and confidentiality. This franchise SOP manual, as amended and updated from time to time, shall at all times remain the property of Cannafrica. The information contained within is considered confidential and proprietary. The franchisee, its employees, and any associated individual is not permitted to copy, reproduce, disseminate, or communicate its contents in any shape or form to any person, firm, or corporation. All aspects shall remain strictly confidential. So let's get straight into it. This is the introduction for Cannafrica. That's a beautiful visual of some of our displays for you there. And so let's start with our vision. Our vision is to be the #1 healthcare company in South Africa with a focus on medicinal cannabis, to utilize current skills and build on new skills to deliver world-class products. We want to execute product and process innovation through the market consumption and everything in between. We are driven by a passion for leadership, a commitment to drive the industry forward, and above all else, providing medical and wellness cannabis consumers the best possible solution. There's some company information that can be read through, and there's some contact details for our team. The responsibilities for the franchisor. So Cannafrica will provide support to the franchisee along with continuous development in business systems, products, and services, which will allow for a good foundation to be laid. Cannafrica will also provide insight into the cannabis market with strategies that will adapt and morph as the market progressively develops. Cannafrica will also provide guidance around the regulatory compliance for the franchisee. And then as a franchisee, there are responsibilities, and the franchisee is responsible for startup procedures, administrative and operative procedures, as well as its own staffing and personnel. Marketing and sales forms part of the baseline responsibilities, along with associated reporting processes and systems. The Cannafrica store corporate identity, the CI, must be complied with and relevant standards upheld. In order to follow this through, you're going to have visits from the Cannafrica HQ. These are actually happening currently. Our team is in Ballito. They were a few days ago. They were at Boardwalk, and so the Cannafrica HQ will conduct annual audits and may also visit stores periodically to ensure compliance. Startup procedures. There's a photograph of our kiosk in Ballito. The startup procedures introduction: prior to the launch of your Cannafrica store, franchisees are required to ensure that the minimum infrastructure is in place. Below is a list of guidelines of necessary considerations. Storage requirements. Franchisees will require approximately 4 square meters of concealed storage space. Franchisees should take their actual store size into account before trying to determine how much storage space they are going to require. A required list of equipment, initial inventory relevant to the size of the store of the franchisee and linked to the master sales and services agreement. These must be adhered to, and these include the store fronts and layouts, the signage and branding, products and stock, packaging and carrier bags, and equipment. With regards to signage and logo specifications, the Cannafrica corporate identity governs all Cannafrica store images. Refer to the Cannafrica brand Bible for all signage colors, specifications, and designs. Obtained required licenses, certifications, and permits. And so the franchisees are required to ensure that all permissions and licenses, renewal and compliance processes and agreements are in place and remains valid for the duration of operation. Company requirements, the CIPC, the franchise should have a company registered with the CIPC under which their Cannafrica franchise will operate. There's some very basics here, but it's very important that we cover the basics. And so setting up of a bank account should be set up under the company name that has been registered with the CIPC for the intent of trading as a Cannafrica franchisee. With point 3.6.3 is insurance, building and infrastructure, inventory, and cash, which is in-store and banking. The franchisee must ensure that the store building, the infrastructure, the inventory, and cash is insured by a creditable insurance company. Cannafrica HQ will not be held responsible for any negligence, loss, or damage in this regard. There are statutory obligations. All statutory obligations need to be considered and adhered to by the franchisee. Where the collection of personal information is concerned, all franchisees must comply with the Protection of Personal Information Act, which is the POPI Act. Statutory obligations include such requirements as SARS, tax registration, UIF, SDL, PAYE, as well as DOL or UIF and workman's compensation. With agreements and contracts, please ensure all elements of the master franchise agreement are adhered to. And then when it comes to store readiness, checklist for maintenance. Maintenance is relevant to individual stores and their own rental agreements. And executing promotions on featured areas or products. The pricing to be uniform and consistent, possibly a promotional aisle. This pertains to both our walk-in stores and to our kiosks, and so please just take the relevant points to your particular outlet. Freestanding displays, cash wraps, walls, and windows. These are areas that that could be used for featuring promotions. With the store visual merchandising, a signage checklist, so standard signage, signage placement, point of signature signage, display and removal of signage and frames on the walls. Floor plan and displays, always ensure that all is neat and in order. When it comes to the checklist for sales, ensure that the checklist is in place and sales are recorded as the day progresses. This is where we utilize our IQ retail system. Associates stroke floor team, staff register must be completed, a merchandise display. All product to be placed neatly, spaced adequately, and remain dust-free. So this is going to be a daily task. People eat with their eyes. It's the way that we are conditioned. So the neater and the spacing and the dust freeness is really what counts here. And it's a daily task. Shouldn't be left just for a weekly task. This is a daily task. Expiry dates, merchandise handling. Check that all products are still within a usable date. You'll often find a best before and a sell by, and so we always want to stay within the best before date. A list needs to be kept of products' expiry dates. Once a product is 3 months away from its expiry date, the list needs to be shared with store management, who in turn will share with Cannafrica HQ. So when you receive your stock in, take note of the expiry date. You can always go back to those notes. It's a lot simpler than going to the shelf, picking up an item and having a look at the bottom. And so it can be one of your tasks to check your list of expiry dates. We need to know 3 months ahead of expiry if you want assistance from Cannafrica HQ. The franchise should engage Cannafrica HQ on possible promotions to sell products nearing its sell-by date. And franchisees are also able to swap out such products with other franchise owners. Point 3.10, cannabis and CBD legislative compliance and information. Cannafrica appreciates that we are still currently operating in a legislative space that is still being determined. While some legislation has been amended and updated over the last few months, some areas are still not clear. In the absence of clear guidelines in some areas, Cannafrica will endeavor to operate and advise within the current legislation and the interpretation thereof. Cannafrica encourages all of its franchisees to remain abreast of the latest developments and to endeavor to remain compliant and within the law at all times. Health and safety compliance. The store manager owner is required to ensure that the Occupational Health and Safety Act and its regulations is implemented and adhered to. There's a link there for your reference. The safety and first aid officer. It is the responsibility of the franchisee to ensure the safety and security of the premises and the staff and customers. Display all current emergency numbers in a legible manner. The numbers must be current and kept updated. A first aid officer must be appointed, and the staff is to be informed of the responsible staff member for this function. Ideally, the first aid officer must have undergone basic first aid training. We should have a first aid box on location, and the first aid box must be in a location that is accessible for all staff. Make sure that all staff are familiar with the location and contents and how and what to use depending on the situation. Once again, we check the use by dates and ensure that the kit is stocked with antiseptic creams, headache medication, band-aid, and bandaging materials. There's a list of contents on the side of what we suggest that the first aid box contains. Excuse me, 2 packets of band-aids, a pair of scissors, a box or tin or of elastic dressing, a packet of sterilized gauze, a packet of assorted safety pins, a roll of bandage, a tube of antiseptic cream and Dettol, a roll of cotton wool, some tweezers, eye drops, and some headache tape. CBD does not appear in our first aid box, just so that we know there. Fire, this is a big one. It's something that is often the first thing that is looked upon. And so please ensure that when it comes to fire, please ensure that you have a fire extinguisher, and the fire extinguisher and or blanket is serviced annually. Once again, these will come with use by best before date, and so add that to your list with your products, and then you won't be caught unawares once the date has passed. Practice a fire drill with staff. Make sure that your staff know where the emergency exits are and where the fire extinguishers are located. Make sure that all staff know where the evaluation meeting points are, and in the event of a larger fire, evacuate and ensure that everybody is accounted for, and call the fire brigade, security company, and center management as applicable. Emergency numbers. It's important that an emergency telephone list be easily accessible to staff. I did show our list at the top of this document, and I have shared this document with all. Information to be contained on this list are the area and city emergency contact numbers. If you're in a mall, then with the center management, equipment and service personnel, head office and staff phone numbers, and the next of kin details. 3.12 is various reporting requirements. This is stuff that has to come through to Cannafrica HQ, and these are monthly turnover figures, quarterly business projections and achievements, monthly management accounts, all levies paid monthly, VAT paid bi-monthly if applicable, VAT that is paid by the 25th of the relevant month, UIF payments of all employees, it's 2% of labor, full and part-time, pay as you earn, IRP 10 employee tax deduction tables, skills levy, which is 1% of labor, annual financial statements, which will include the income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statement, and comparison to budgets. Any and every area of compliance that is required. We need an asset register, so all assets must be listed with values. All assets must be clearly identified and marked, and update the asset register for goods purchased, sold, or replaced. Section 4, when we look towards the admin and the finance procedures, there's our happy staff at the Springs Mall, in that photo. Administrative and financial procedures. Franchisees will be expected to adopt the Retail IQ system. IQ Retail is the system that we use, which allows for seamless integration with head office that will allow for easy flow of data, timely reporting, and accurate reports. The IQ retail software system is multifaceted, comprehensive software that allows for inventory management, report generation, point of sale management, and accounting software. The point of sale system, the store software, should be protected and kept up to date to ensure integrity of data. Electronic payments are made through franchisees' personal choice, but it must be compatible with the IQ retail software. Accounting software, the franchisee can opt to use whatever accounting they would like to select, but for cost purposes should take advantage of the accounting software already integrated into the IQ retail software, which is comprehensive and cost effective. With licensing and registration, franchisees will be responsible for all of their own license and registration fees that will be associated with any software required for the business operations of the franchisee. Cash management. We need to have store back office cash procedures, store front office cash procedures. We need to manage our cash refunds, double billing or a mistake by the cashier, and also be able to handle gift vouchers. Pricing structure. Adherence to the pricing structures set out by the franchisor is expected. Please refer to Annexure A of the Master Sales and Services Agreement regarding products and services. Billing procedures. Stock to be ordered from HQ on the order form provided. Finance will generate sales order and issue invoice stipulating monies to be paid, proof of payment to be sent before stock can be released. 4.5, generating reports. This is what keeps us strong and aware of what's going on in our sphere. And so we need weekly reports, stroke monthly reports. Retail IQ allows for reports to be generated daily if required, but Cannafrica HQ will require sales reporting on a weekly basis, with stock and finance reporting provided on a monthly basis. Franchise reporting requirements. Franchisees will be required to cooperate with Cannafrica HQ and provide all the necessary reports required within the stipulated periods mentioned in the above 4.5.1. The managing of petty cash. Petty cash is an internal franchisee process. However, as guidelines, Cannafrica suggests the following. A separate petty cash float should be kept. Things like milk and coffee must be budgeted for at the beginning of the month. Do not take petty cash from the till. Have a petty cash box specifically for this purpose. Limit access to the petty cash box. Ensure that you put your petty cash slips in the box and return monthly to your internal accounts for processing and reconciliation. Inventory management. This is how we're going to manage our stock. And so for stock storage, all products need to be clearly marked. All areas to be clearly marked and well ventilated. All products must be dated on acceptance and labeled properly. Everything reasonably possible must be done to ensure limited wastage. Correct storage temperatures must be monitored and thermometers must be installed to ensure the correct temperatures are maintained. The same applies for humidity control. All stock must be locked away with only limited and approved staff having access. The conducting of inventory. A daily stock take is recommended in relation to core products. These are your fast-moving products. Keep abreast of exactly what's going on a daily basis. A systematic approach that is routinely followed must be devised by the franchisee to ensure that the stock take can be done quickly and efficiently. A weekly stock take is recommended for non-core products with a control sheet monitored for discrepancy and overuse or underutilization. Anticipate stock turnover. A record of all products should be kept on a stock control sheet outlining the quantity, description, value of the item at purchase price. This is a price that is VAT inclusive. And then check count of stock and compare delivery invoice and orders. Wastage must be recorded daily. If this is done on a daily or weekly procedure, then you're not going to get caught out. These things, the more efficiently they take place, the more efficiently we're going to be able to have control of what's happening in your business. And when it comes to the ordering of products, we're setting out a new SOP on orders, but I'm just going to go through with the current. So try and order stock regularly. That's going to be a bi-monthly process. Try and have stock delivered at similar times to avoid disruption during store operating hours. If the stock is damaged or the bags are opened or tampered with, do not accept the consignment. Send it back and inform Cannafrica HQ immediately. Ensure that the driver, delivery person, signs the complaint accordingly and send this to Cannafrica HQ by email to support your claim. Incorrect priced deliveries are problematic and must be dealt with immediately. Credit notes must be issued against any conscientious order invoice from a supplier. Write these issues up in a logbook so invoices are not approved for payment without credit notes issued. It's just a guideline to assist with the receiving of stock there. And then using designated and approved sources of supply, refer to the requirements of the Master Sales and Service Agreement, Annexure B. You will have a copy of that. And then the store stock handling. Transfer of stocks from Cannafrica HQ. Upon opening the store, the franchisee is expected to keep regular and accurate data of stock levels, expiry dates, etc. This will be used for tracking purposes and inform future stock orders. Receiving stock at the store. The store manager or head of staff will be responsible for receiving the stock, taking stock thereof, and immediately inform Cannafrica HQ of any accuracies or inaccuracies of stock received. All paperwork, such as goods received slips, need to be signed and dated by the store management and kept on record. All raw materials, perishables, to be used and stored on a first in, first out basis. It makes sense. Don't put new stock in front of old stock. You want to sell the old stock out and then let that naturally take its process. All goods to be stored in designated areas. Check the quality and packaging of the goods delivered. And you need to do this quickly, efficiently, and without delay. Check the information is correct before acceptance.